How the dice fell. Flint Daniels and the Trees of Knowledge. Part 6.
They're on a ocean-going ship. The ship is full of mine snakes. And the most recent thing that they did was the bridge had been taken over by mine snaked rebels. And they had just taken the bridge back, and it was a really difficult battle. And everyone is really banged up, but they now have control of the bridge. That's where we left off.
For all the good it will do us, because we blew up all the computers while we were taking control of the bridge.
Yeah. In the process, a lot of the computers got blown up, especially the navigational computer. So
especially that one.
Yeah. The navigational computer got really blown up.
Oh yeah, real good.
So there was some discussion, I think, about like splitting up to like turn off the engines.
Yep.
But
I of course proposed splitting the party. We're in a creepy ship full of mind controlling worms that take people over, so I think we should split up.
Yeah,
it actually made sense at the time,
but but in the end
we wound up not having to.
Sabine took a look at the navigational computer, and you know where its burning hulk was, there's like cords and wires and stuff coming in there, and she realized she could just rig that up to connect to their quadcorder. And she got she was like, well, I could use mine, and different people offered theirs, but because it has to stay there and be the computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chumley gave his because he's like, I don't even know how to use this thing anyway. So he
hits people with it.
Yeah. So so the computer is now set to take the ship towards the Mother Baobab, and it starts changing course. And I guess it must have been about that time that I mentioned that they saw some sort of, I think it was Chumley saw some sort of scout like just spying out the bridge and then running away. And
that's when we split up.
Yeah, Chumley is like, after them. And I was like, okay, they're like across the deck, about to go down the stairs. Like it's gonna be exceptionally difficult to catch them. And he's like, after them. So he and Flint Daniels ran after them. And despite the fact I said it would take an amazing success to get them, Chumley caught them and grabbed a hold of the guy, and he started saying, no, you're gonna get me. You guys are infected. Don't, please. And they started like, well, why were you, I think that's why you were spying on us or whatever. But there was contention on both sides. Are you mind snaked? Are you mind snaked? And oh right, he started saying, please don't do anything. I don't mean any harm. I'm just going here. I'm right here. And he started shouting at the junction of 342A. And they were just clueless of anything going on and just kept interrogating him.
I wasn't clueless, but I was not there.
Yeah. And so a couple of this guy's buddies come by, and they start threatening, they come out with their guns drawn saying, hey, let him go, you infected scum. And they start talking, and they start using some kind of eventually Chumley used a logical argument that basically suggested that it was kind of an ironclad argument of why they should let them go, because like obviously if they were mind snake, they would have already infected this guy. Yeah. And so once it was clear that they had really no way to BS their way out of it, they're like, these guys could be useful. Let's just take them. And they start attacking them with the butt end of their guns, and a big fight ensued. And in the fight, it was
fisticuffs.
Yeah. Chumley did pretty well, but
Daniels
but
just
Daniels just got destroyed. He was grabbed and smashed on the wall and
he got
he
hamburger faced.
pushed down, and the guy just like was knee dropped him in the back and was just punching him, and he finally got up, and the other guy kicked him in the face, and he was just, I mean, while Chumley just took them all out.
Yep.
Chumley was like,
Yep. Actually, was
Yeah.
doing the Queensbury rules thing.
yeah.
And so now they have these unconscious guys, and so they decide they want to like check them for mind snakes or something. So they each carry one. There was 3 of them. They left one behind. They each carry one up onto the deck and back to the bridge. While they're carrying them back to the bridge, suddenly a shot goes off. Someone is trying to snipe them from somewhere high up on the superstructure. And so, but it doesn't really pose that much of a problem. They lay down some suppressing fire. They managed to get back. They actually managed to kill the guy in the end who was sniping them. But
We couldn't see whether a mind snake came out of him or not.
yeah,
so.
he was too far away and they didn't go over to him. So they get to the bridge and they've got those 2 unconscious guys. And then we start debating about what we're gonna do with them.
I did the scan, and I got a positive result.
Yes, that's right.
This is where
So-
things got a little funny because I checked these guys and they both read positive to my scanner. And then I can't remember why, but I decided to check everyone else as well. And I read positive on everyone, including
The whole
myself.
party, everyone's positive.
And we had a big debate
All
over
in-
whether it was a false positive or not. And we were like, well, okay, it might be, if it's a false positive, then we don't know whether these guys are infected or not. If it's not a false positive, then that means we're all infected, and I guess we won. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
there was a good outcome and a bad outcome. We didn't, and it was the bad outcome because we were uncertain now.
Well, and everyone was like, I don't think I'm infected. I'm not infected as far as I know. And then there was some discussion of like, do you know if you're infected? Are we all just infected? We just don't know.
Or if we're infected, we would of course lie about whether we're infected. But if we're all infected, then we can stop lying. So how about on the count of 3, we all admit if we're infected?
Yeah,
'Cause
just
we're all-
raise your hand. Raise your
everyone
hand
raise
if
your
you're
hand.
infected.
Yeah, and so we did the count of 3, and then no one raised their hands. And we're like, this doesn't solve anything. Ah,
Yep. So, so there was some discussion.
did we figure out the reason for the false positives now, or was it later? That
I
we
think it was now because I think that's what led to the next thing. So one
Right.
thing that had happened is while they were fighting those guys, the other people were trying to radio them, or maybe they were trying to radio, they tried to radio back and their communicators didn't work. When they first landed on this planet, their communicators didn't work because of the interference given off by the baobabs. But the workaround that the people of this planet have is they basically just have ubiquitous Wi-Fi. And so they hook their things into the ubiquitous Wi-Fi and it was fine. But now their communicators have stopped working. And so they started, I don't know who, I guess it was, yeah, it must have been Pill, because it was a science thing, like was investigating it. And they discovered that basically the interference pattern that the baobabs have given off has changed, and it's changed specifically to thwart the detection mechanism. So it's and so they were able to change their communicators to work again just by changing the signal frequency, but the
baobab
detector
detectors
is
now
basically worthless because they're sending out whatever it is that's going to basically you can detect on anything. It's going to give you an infected result. So somehow that happened in the last hour or 2 or 3. I guess it's been a few hours. So in the last
Given
few
that the mind
hours.
snakes probably just took over all the people that invented these things to begin with, that's probably why. And yeah, since
and
we're
the
not the guys that
shuffle
invented,
frequencies Borg solution doesn't work.
yeah, since we're not the guys that invented the scanner, we weren't able to jury rig a new version of it or something. We didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, they tried, but it just
Yeah.
it was, and I mean it was actually really difficult to create a scanner. The mind snakes have a lot of anti-scanning things, but they've managed to figure out a way, and now that way has been thwarted. It's sort of a back to the drawing board kind of thing to try to figure out a way
Fortunately,
to detect them.
the drawing board is where we get creative. So we were like, okay, how else can we tell whether someone is infected with a mind snake? Well, previously we had that technique, the thing that we're going to do with the mother brain. Flint Daniels, if you recall from the episode Flint Daniels and the Insanity Machine, Flint Daniels has a madness abomination in his mind.
He has memories of it. Yes.
Memories of a madness abomination. And he's dealing with it okay, because he is Flint Daniels. But the mind snakes don't do well with that. And previously we were able to sort of transfer these memories into someone who is infected with a mind snake. And it put the mind snake into a coma, which also put the person into a coma. And we tried extracting the mind snake, but we pulped their brains. So mixed results. But still, the important thing is we've got a thing we can do that puts mind snakes into a coma that probably doesn't put humans into a coma, or these aliens, whatever their name is.
It might, but it's
just
more
gives
likely
really
just
horrifying
to
nightmares.
give them sanity damage. But
Yeah, it's a horrifying, terrible experience, but it doesn't put them in a coma. So we figured, okay, well, let's go and get that equipment that we used down in the sick bay to do that, and inject nightmares into these guys' minds. And if they scream forever, then they were human. And if they fall into a coma and eventually die, then they were mind snake. So we'll be able to tell the difference.
I mean, they only die of dehydration. It doesn't make them
Yeah.
die. It just puts them into a permanent coma that they will never wake up from unless the mind snake is extracted. So
Yes.
and I mean that's
There's like a
actually the plan
10%
for
chance of
saving.
success on that surgery. So
Well, I mean, they actually figured it was about a 50% chance, but it just didn't go well. But
well,
yeah,
right
I mean,
now
that's
our
the-
doctor has an arm crippled. So
Yeah. Oh, that's true. The doctor from that ship battle has an unworkable arm, so that
Mhm.
makes things very challenging. But
Yeah.
the and I mean, just to remind you, that's the plan. That's the plan to save this planet, which is basically give that cognito hazard to the mother Baobab, take out all the mind snakes. The whole planet falls unconscious. Then we immediately start trying to extract snakes from people who especially have like
doctors
know,
first.
doctors first, and then wake them up and get them to save as many people as they can before they die of dehydration.
Mhm.
So I think we said, and I don't know, I said this, so it's now, I said this was realistic, and so now it's true that they figure they can, if things go well, they can save half the population of the planet, but probably half is still going to die. And I mean, but the other option is do nothing and the whole planet blows up and everyone dies. So that's the best plan they have so far, is save half of them.
Trolley problems. Yes. So anyway, we discovered that if you unplug the quadcorder that was serving as the navigational computer, the ship just keeps on moving in whatever direction it was moving in. So we're aimed in the right direction. It's going to take us 80 hours to get to the mother Baobab. So it's a ways out there, but we're making progress. So we unplugged the quadcorder to take it with us, so that the ship would just keep going, even if those mind snake rebels try and stop it. And then we headed down into the depths of the ship to go to the sick bay with our unconscious prisoners to give them nightmares. I don't think we had a fight on the way to the sick bay. I think we made it to the sick bay okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we stuck one in the machine, and was it Chumley that insisted on waking them up? Someone was Daniels, I think, insisted on
Yeah, I
waking.
wanted to wake them up. I think just so you can tell if they fell unconscious or not was part of it.
That's part of it.
I
Well,
asked if you woke them up because I was thinking, how are you going to tell otherwise? But
yeah. But the way Daniels explained it, it was like, it's they should have awareness of what is happening. They should have not necessarily choice, but they should be informed lack of consent rather than passive lack of consent. It's slightly more moral that way. And so we
No, I
woke
was
the guy
gonna say that, yeah, the device was designed for like treating like psychological trauma. Like you can, you can bond your mind to someone who is calm, who can help you calm down, whatever. But instead, they're connecting it to Daniels, who has the cognitohazard insanity machine memories in his mind. And so they connect this guy, and he's like, "No, no, please don't! You're gonna do something horrible to me! No, please!" But they connect him up, and he just, freaks out for a moment, and then falls unconscious.
So he was mind snaked. He's in a coma. So we wake up his buddy and we strap him in.
Yeah, and explain to him what just happened with his other friend or whatever.
And he starts doing the freak out thing, but then he messily dies and a mind snake emerges from his nose.
Yeah, just right before they're gonna place it on him, he does the like
Mm.
twitching thing that they do when the mind snake pulps their brain, and then
Mm.
dies and the mind
Yeah.
snake comes out. And
So
they taser the mind snake, so it's not really a threat, but it does, of course, come towards them.
so now we can't have informed lack of consent either. We have to knock him out and put him in. But we've used up all our guys here, so we dismount the equipment, and now we're going to be wandering through the depths of the ship carrying a therapy machine.
Yeah, I said it was light enough that they could carry it with difficulty, right? It's like carrying a piece of furniture or whatever, and that's not even that heavy. It's like carrying, I don't know, an air
A
conditioner.
defibrillator, right?
Defibrillators are very portable.
Yeah.
I assume this is
It's
something a little
it's like
bit more
carrying an air conditioner, right? Like it's not
Okay.
it's not the hardest, but it's not easy either, right? So it's reasonable to port it around. And they head back to the bridge, and I should also mention that I'd mentioned a few times at this point that they've noticed a lot of mind snakes have been coming out of the ductwork, like they're just constantly zapping mind snakes as they're going, and it just seems like there's just getting to be more and more mind snakes coming out of the ductwork. So they get back to the bridge and they discover that the bridge has been hastily fortified again with metal furniture. And they smash a window and see in there that there's a couple of engineers working on the cords of the nav computer doing something. And what do? I forget.
We like threw grenades through the windows. Last time round when we did an assault on this place, it went very, very poorly indeed. Now there weren't nearly as many guys in there this time, and they didn't have like the prepared settings, but we're also on death's door. So
Yeah. And they communicated and said, you need to get up here right away. The aliens are back and we need backup. And it turns out the people in there were just engineers. They weren't like soldiers or anything. So it was trivial to run in there and take them out as long as they were fast. And then some people set about refortifying the bridge against the inevitable counterattack. And some people grabbed those guys, but someone actually grabbed their communicator and started saying, actually, never mind, they ran away, or what was it exactly?
Something along those. It was the Han.
Yeah, they ran away and they went to the engine room or something. I forget. It was some kind of place. And make sure you check down there. That kind of thing.
Sent them on a wild goose chase.
Yeah. So then they have two more unconscious people. And actually they woke one of them up and tried the machine on them, and that was when you decided for sure it was untenable, because
they were just killing
his brain
themselves.
Pulped as well. Yeah.
So we did the other one, and he went comatose. So yeah, he was infected with mind snakes. At this point, I suspect we can assume by default that everyone's infected with mind snakes, except ourselves. Though I suppose we haven't fully verified that.
Well, no one raised their hand. So they started thinking about what they wanted to do next, because the number of snakes coming through the vents were just increasing and increasing. So that's obviously going to be a problem. They're going to have to track down the source of that problem. But it's also late. It's getting to be really dark. It's late. They need to sleep. So I said, all right, So who's gonna sleep and who's gonna
Oh, yeah.
stand watch?
I forgot this part. The drugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no one wanted to be the one to sleep while other people stood watch.
Yep.
So someone's asked, like, are there any drugs we can use or anything? And I was like, well, you grab some stuff to Yoon, Dr. Yoon. You grab some stuff from the med bay, and there's actually some emergency supplies here. You can use your quadcorder to use that to synthesize cyphetamines, which are a futuristic amphetamine that's been improved with a carrier that, like amphetamines, they keep you awake. They make you kind of a little bit manic and a little bit extra paranoid, but they put carriers into them so that you can realize that the drug is what's making you paranoid, and you have some rational ability to fight against the paranoia. So it's a
Yes,
little bit better
because-
than just taking straight amphetamines. These are future amphetamines called cyphetamines.
Yes, because
And-
there's no reason other than the drugs to be paranoid right now.
Yeah. And they're like 80 hours. I mean, they're probably 75 hours now away from the mother baobab. So that, the cyphetamines will keep them awake for 80 hours. I mean, the side effects will grow over time, but
Yeah.
that should
And
be just
then,
fine.
and then all we have to do is brain surgery on as many people as we can.
So
Remind
not
me
everyone-
again of the like geometry. Like, why are they so far away from the mother baobab? Aren't they on a planet?
they're on a ocean going ship, and the baobab is in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a spaceship for some reason.
Mm,
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, that would simplify things in many
Yes.
ways.
Yeah.
We kept talking about like, or no, it wasn't we, it was mostly Chumley. Chumley kept talking about like, are they wearing pressure suits? No, of course they're not. We're on a ship, regular ship, not, that sort of thing.
A shipboat.
Yep.
Mhm.
One of those boat ships,
Hmm.
fancy new boat ships.
Yep.
So yeah, I think we sort of concluded, we could stay awake and guard the bridge the whole time, but the rate at which these mind snakes are coming out of the woodwork suggests we may not have that long
80
anyway.
hours,
There's going to be other complications. I'm puzzled as to why they haven't simply disabled the engines, because maybe I shouldn't have said that where the DM could hear, but
Well, they have been trying to. I mean, they were trying to take the navigational stuff back over, but I mean, I guess it's I mean,
their only goal is to stop us from reaching the mother baobab. So they could accomplish that goal just by scuttling the ship. Oh, I shouldn't have said that where the DM could hear.
it's true, though. I think, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you my reasons, but yeah, I should say though, we should say not everyone took cyphetamines. Daniels decided to sleep, and play. I can't think. Sabine decided to sleep because she's having like basically like a panic attack, or like she's freaking out already because of like, she was not on board with like the putting the cognito hazard in the people's minds, and then they horribly died. She was just like, she's like almost rocking on the floor, upset. She's really upset with the whole thing, and like and the cavalier way the party is like testing stuff on these things. So she's already really upset, and so she decided she did not want to take cyphetamines, so she decided to sleep. So Daniels and Pillay slept, but Chumley and Dr. Yoon and Pill took cyphetamines and stayed up all night. But yeah, other than that, that's basically where we left it. We left it basically the morning came around, and the new plan is to track down where the snakes are. And my plan for doing that is I had a mini game, and then I knew the mini game would take at least an hour, and we were half an hour from end time, so we just called it. Do that first thing next time. So, but yep. But there was lots of great discussion about a paranoid discussion of who has mind snakes and
Yeah.
how we know
Are
that.
do the sleepers have mind snakes because they went to sleep?
Yeah. Or do they now because they went to sleep?
Right.
I mean, maybe it just so happened that the three who stayed awake were all mind snaked, and of course now the other two are.
You should have another. Do we declare victory?
I actually, Robin had a great idea that I'm totally gonna do, and I don't mind saying it here because Brian will be in on it because he was stayed awake. But I'm gonna, I haven't really been using the little room with this campaign, but like taking people off to the side.
Mm.
But I'm totally gonna take like the people who stayed awake to a separate place to like, okay, I'm gonna tell you about it, whatever. And then I actually have nothing to say, but but just then the people who slept will never know what happened.
So you're gonna make sure that everyone has paranoia, either because they're drugged to the gills or because they weren't drugged to the gills.